My name's Phoebe. I'm a young trade leader from Australia. I'm the founder and CEO of Inspire Tomorrow Education, which is an education not-for-profit that works to empower disadvantaged students and help them access tertiary education. I'm incredibly passionate about the inclusion of gender and minority rights in international trade, and I work in gender equality advisory across the world. I would say that trade to me is more than the simple exchange of goods and services, but more so the exchange of ideas and innovation. I really do believe that international trade is an incredible vessel for the realisation of social justice and human rights, and it's a way to empower people who have historically been excluded from the international trade arena. I do think in the next decade that international trade is going to have to prioritise the inclusion of women and marginalised communities across the world, but it's also going to become exceedingly digital and exceedingly green. So I think these are two things that are definitely going to be critical issues for international trade to address, especially the inclusion as well of different economies that are developing to ensure that there really is equity when it comes to the exchange of goods and services. I really wanted to be a young trade leader for two main reasons. I do think that the inclusion of Australian and Asia-Pacific voices in international trade is something that is incredibly pertinent. I think oftentimes when we have conversations about international trade, the Asia-Pacific can be left out. I also think as well I wanted to be a young trade leader to be able to advocate for gender in the international trade arena. I think no matter where you are in the world, a lot of countries deprioritise this idea of gender inclusion in international trade, and we work off this assumption of gender neutrality, whether it's in our trade agreements or our dialogue. So I really wanted to use my passion for gender equality to come to the WTO and ask policymakers and high-level leaders to think differently about how we do international trade and how we can include people who may have been historically excluded. My goal is to go back to Australia and really help democratise access to what the WTO does and why the multilateral trading system is still valuable in today's age despite all this change that we're undergoing as a global community. I also really want to figure out how we can consult with young communities across the world and bring their ideas to the World Trade Organization to ensure that their voices and lived experiences and insights are heard by high-level leaders.